Hello and welcome to the Chainsaw Buffet podcast, the podcast that's a total sausage fest.
It's true.
Yep.
I want fennel.
I wish we could get some girls up in this place. Anyway, let me do a quick round of introductions. I am John, the Tommy of the podcast, and we are joined by our resident Zach, Charlie.
I'm Zach. Yes, I can live with that.
Our Billy, Dylan.
I didn't expect anything different.
And we have our special guests, former leader of the group, our Jason, Mike.
You gotta stop calling me, like, the former leader of the group. Like, I just co-opted the name. I didn't even know what the hell the site was until, like, the 5th episode.
Neither did I!
It really is like the catch-all. Like, do you want to publish something? Okay, here's a place you can do it.
Do you know
got
us?
a website? Put this shit up.
Yep.
That's how it works. And our notable member from another series, Basil. Who is I'm going to go ahead and say he's Adam. He's Johnny Young Bosch.
Can I just be Micah Solasad instead?
He wasn't on Power Rangers.
But he sounds vaguely similar.
Yeah, but no, Mike is not cool with that, so, you know.
But I don't want the crappy band.
Well,
Ooh.
Word.
you can take umbrage with Mr. Bosch at some other point in the future.
I don't think I've... No, I think I've heard him play, yeah.
Like, I don't know how bad he is, but Eyeshine is kind of terrible.
Well,
I'm just saying.
they're definitely not the Slants. I'll give them that.
You mean they can get a trademark?
Yes, that is precisely what I mean.
Is
So
that too soon?
So if Eyeshine was a racial epitaph, a racial slur, what race would that be a racial slur for? That's what I would be
Domestic
curious.
violence? A shiner?
I don't know.
Why you gotta go there, Dylan? Why you gotta go there, Billy?
Anyway,
It was the worst thing I could think of.
a few things Zordon wants us to go over before we get to the podcast proper. A few programming changes you guys might have noticed. We're releasing this week's podcast really fucking late to where we can barely call it this week's. It's practically next week's because, you know, it'll be going up on Friday. But that's because we got back from GMX and we were all tired, and we have interviews that we haven't released yet because I haven't gotten around to editing them or uploading them. Those will be coming next week, along with, at some point, our recap of Anime Blast Chattanooga, which we'll be attending this weekend, depending on how quickly you guys hear this. And after that, we'll do another recap, and then after that, we'll be back to normal recording with, you know, dice piles and things of the week and things of that nature. But all that's on hiatus until we get back to doing just normal stuff. It is a con review podcast, but as a show of goodwill, if you listen to the end, at some point we'll go ahead and name drop who our guests from GMX that we recorded were. Of course, if you were paying attention on Twitter, you might know already. Basil, I think really quick before we started talking GMX, you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah. I know this is not Awesomecast proper, although it probably will get on the Awesomecast.
May as well.
It'll go on the feed somewhere.
May as well be
Anyways,
Awesomecast proper.
I got an email just the other day from a group called Hana Doki Kira, a shoujo anthology. And it is a group of 6 girls who are putting together this Kickstarter for this shoujo-inspired art book. And it looks pretty cool. It looks like a neat little Kickstarter. They actually messaged the Awesomecast specifically, which is crazy, because that means they knew where to find us. I don't know how that works. But...
And it wasn't a complaint, so it didn't go to our email. It went to your email.
Yeah, so it's amazing. And since I won't have a chance to probably pimp them until, a few weeks later, I figured I probably should do it somewhere soon. And, well, this is the biggest podcast I know. So...
That's sad. You need to get out more.
This is the biggest podcast I know that I'm on this week.
Shut up! That was
Biggest as in like
that.
total poundage? What's
Yeah,
going on
I'm thinking-
here?
I'm
What's the
thinking
Kickstarter called? Give me the Kickstarter.
I mean, we've got 5 people, so
It is called Hana Doki Kira. Here, I'll post a message to the group.
Hana. Hana Doki Kira. All right. I'm such a Kickstarter whore, man. I realized today I've backed 30 projects now on Kickstarter.
So if you have a Kickstarter and you want some money thrown at it, just hit Mike up on Twitter.
how many of those have failed? Out of curiosity.
I've backed so many that I get stuff now, and so I feel like I'm doing good because stuff comes in. And what the ratio is, I don't know, but the Hana Dory Curry is doing pretty good. They're up to 8,000 of their 95,000 goal. There's a weird phenomenon on Kickstarter where people will not back you until you're successful. So it's good to see that they've almost crossed that line, and they'll probably double or more on the way on here.
That is the American way. You can't get a job until you have experience. You can't get credit until you have credit. And you can't get backed until you already have the money.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
much.
for zero fucking risk, because it's Kickstarter. If they don't get funded, you don't get charged.
Yeah.
So
What's the big fucking deal? If you want it, go ahead and throw the money at it.
That's an excellent point, actually. I don't know why that phenomenon exists, considering
Because
you're not out anything.
Because people are fucking fucks. That's why that phenomenon exists.
Also,
Damn it.
Kickstarter is now more or less pre-order starter. I mean, if we to be honest,
Yeah.
Kickstarting is now pre-ordering Arter.
And you're not going to pre-order that lame thing that no one's into.
I might.
But
Yeah.
I know
Dylan,
I know.
Obama.
I now do wonder if Kickstarters are now artificially lowering their actual target goals so that people are more likely to fund it so they can actually get their actual targets by way of stretch goals.
That's kind of a dangerous strategy, it seems like. I mean,
Yes,
you
Bubba.
really have to know what you're doing.
Well, that's never stopped anyone.
I think if
from
you're
doing
Tim Schafer,
anything
it's
ever
fine.
anymore.
Well, yeah, if you're... Tim Schafer is another matter entirely, but there have been some spectacular failures on Kickstarter.
Hey Dylan,
like
did you
Code
get your
Hero.
copy of Code Hero yet?
You know, I haven't even paid attention to that at all. I think I put in $1 so I could get the beta, so I've gotten my money's worth.
You know what?
How much did you put in?
Fuck that one. Let's talk about the $1,000 3D printer. The
Oh.
hot mess of plastic in my garage.
Oh,
Um,
I forgot about that.
yeah. There's
You would
a
like to. You drink to forget that.
but at least I got parts of a non-working printer. There's a guy in Canada who bought 3 on Kickstarter and hasn't even seen a screw.
oh,
He hasn't even had a screw to get screwed with. But then again, he's in Canada, so he has healthcare, so fuck him.
Agreed. He's just paying into the system now. Really quickly, mainly because we have Mike on the podcast, I want to preface our GMX coverage with a few things. We know a lot of the people that run GMX, and interest of full disclosure, we're friends with a lot of the people that run GMX. We will be ostensibly giving some of the good, bad, and the ugly that happen from GMX, and it's not to say that we are ungrateful, because they have been very, very good to us in terms of coverage, on social media and things like that, of the things that we've done. They've worked with us on getting interviews, have been great, but that doesn't mean that things that, that everything went smoothly for everybody all the time, and, we're not calling any one person out in particular. We're not saying that we had a horrible experience or anything like that, but see, if we were to do this in job speak, it would be opportunities for growth. We could do the whole compliment sandwich and all that bullshit, but just take everything with a grain of salt.
That should be required from here on out. All your comments on GMX must be in a compliment sandwich.
I liked how you did this, but you could improve here. But I also liked what you did with this.
Mike needs to buy a lot of bread. 'Cause
oh.
I think
For the
All
record,
of this is just prefacing that Mike is going to tear somebody a new one.
Well,
and we don't
okay.
want to be
And-
held responsible.
Well,
Yeah,
they may
read between the
deserve it.
lines there. What was that? Was Mike's views are not the views of Chainsaw Buffet or anyone else. We don't know this fucking guy. How'd he get on here?
Fuck this guy.
But for the record, I've never been to a con I have actually liked. So just throwing that out there. And I don't go to GMX for me. I go because I have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old daughter.
That you
that
ignored
are
during
into
the
this
entire
stuff,
convention.
and they're not ready for the Dragon Cons yet. I'm not ready for them to go to the Dragon Cons. Maybe that's the way I should phrase that. Where there's real room parties, not policed and fuck, I don't know what goes on at the room parties, GMX, but it looks pretty lame. So I go for them. So that's there's a lot good going on there. They enjoy it. They love the analog gaming room. Speaking of which, I was talking with the guy who ran that, and they found out they were running it like 2 weeks before the con.
Dang.
Wow.
So really, hats off to them for fucking pulling off a really great job with what they had. That's why there was a lot of stuff scheduled in the room for presentations, because there might not have been, I guess, an analog gaming room. But from what I heard from him, some of the inside baseball was there's a bit of a change of management happening. So I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I've heard that there's some change management going on for both MTech and GMX, including some people that we know. So I'm optimistic as well. But we're not behind the scenes, although we know a lot of these people. We don't have any inside knowledge as far as the planning and things like that. We don't go to any of the meetings. We don't ask a lot of questions because we're just there to cover the event and try and have a good time and that sort of thing. But they can take all that under advisement and look at what they could have done differently versus what was outside of their control, and maybe some of this stuff will create a better product for everybody. But who wants to tee things off with some GMX compliment sandwiches and whatnot and some ass rippings?
Well, I can't speak until we get to Sunday.
And just then for a couple of hours. I mean, God bless you for doing it, but I don't know why you did it.
Because somebody, Charlie,
I did not.
Nico, and John were like, you have to come to GMX. You have to. You just have to. You have to. Well, I think I have work. No, I don't care. You have to. And so I did. And so I can't wait to see everybody at my Hamacon Minicon this Saturday in Huntsville, Alabama. That's what I thought.
I can't wait for you to see everyone there too.
Wow.
Oh.
Here, taste this, John. Taste this compliment sandwich. Does this taste funny to you? It tastes funny to me.
A little.
There's no compliment.
It's missing the compliment.
It's just a bunch of crap.
Shit sandwich.
That's a chainsaw guarantee.
Oh. Well, now.
That should be our new intro. Just basically going, that's a chainsaw. Rawr.
Oh, shit. So Friday. Dylan?
I'm trying to think. The only things I ended up going to were the two improv panels, or two of the improv panels.
The Improvaganza.
Improvaganza with Amber Nash and Lucky Yates, and Improv Comedy Live.
One of those was epic, and the other one was awesome and fantastic.
I'll let you guys take that one.
So,
Go on.
Go ahead.
I'll let Charlie hit on the Amber Nash and Lucky Yates one, which is just generally fucking funny because they're very funny people.
And they do that a lot. I mean, I know that Lucky Yates is part of, is it Dad's Garage or something like that? They're part of a group, or at least he's part of a permanent improv group in Atlanta. So they do that a lot. And they do have a really good back and forth. They they work well together, and they're really good at what they do. The one thing I'll say about the two together is that they really should have been reversed. It kind of felt like one should be opening for the other, but the
Yes.
propaganda was first.
It was a difficult act to follow for anybody, much less a more regional group, as opposed to a couple of professional actors who are semi-known for roles on shows like Archer and Good Eats and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and they have a lot of time working with each other too. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
that was very clear because when they were doing their improv, when Amber and Lucky were up there doing their improv, they were playing another game with them between themselves of trying to fuck each other over. I mean,
Yes.
they did some things in that improv that if you were in a new group, you'd be like, why you got to be an ass and just set me up for nothing, you know? Whereas they were like, I want to see if you can get out of this. You're the mayor and the girl. Go for it. That's all you now.
Yeah, and they were very good at it.
And they were very good at it. Yeah, it was great. That's actually what I think one of the con highlights, I think, was them there in their improv. I had no interest in going to them talking about Archer because, I already heard the questions, how do you get into voice acting?
Can
I
you
already heard that
say
one asked.
this line from this episode? What was going through your mind at this exact moment in time when
I will
you were
say-
probably half drunk?
If you're gonna do a voice actor Q&A panel, the best time
Just
to do
don't.
it is
If you're gonna
in
do one,
the-
just don't.
No. The best way to do it is directly in the middle of an improv act, as they did.
That
Fair
that was pretty tremendous.
Fair
There
enough.
was one game where you could just stop them at any time and ask them questions either in or out of character.
Charlie did ask the best question.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't even know why it occurred to me, but I was like, it's Lucky Yates. If I want to ask about anything, it's going to be about Good Eats. So I stopped them and asked, what does Alton Brown smell like?
That
And-
was
Go
that
ahead.
definitely did stop them. Like that was a good question. It stopped them because it was a good question, not stop them because it was a terrible question. Which
Well, what was best is it stopped them because they had to think about the answer because they had not been asked that
Correct.
question before.
I have no prepared answer for this. Wait a second.
Yeah, unlike every other fucking question that people think they are being original or improving themselves and improving their chance to become voice actors, which you are not.
Rob's, not Rob Schwab.
Rob Paulson?
also
Rob Paulson. Was he a Friday or was he I went into his Q&A session because the con was really light attendance this year.
I think that
compared
was
to
Friday.
last year. Was that Friday? Was that on
You
Friday?
texted me about a question, and I was like, "Do you
Okay,
mean
yes,
Robert
yes. That's
Schwab?"
what I was going to. I didn't want to do it out of order, though. I was going to wait till Saturday. But yeah, there was that guy got in line and came up and it's like, what's your question? And he's like, do you remember when you were what the hell was his name? Snow Job? On G.I. Joe. And you and Iceberg were doing this thing, and he fell down here, and you sounded really dramatic, and it was a really intense scene, and all that. And it sounded like, did you throw your voice out on that scene because it was so intense and passionate? And Rob just looked at him, didn't miss a beat, and goes, "That is an excellent question, but it was 30 years ago. I have no idea." And they just went to the next guy in line. Well, that's what Chris Pope does, right? Chris Pope's like, "All right, we're going to keep this moving." Because I think at one point I called this Chris Pope Con, or who could Chris Pope come to the con? 2013. He did better in 2012. I'll say that.
Anyway,
Nobody's willing to comment on there. I just threw that one out
no
there.
one wants to touch.
No,
that.
well,
no one's gonna touch that.
here's the
Like
thing.
the outsider. Fuck this guy. We don't know him.
Mike who?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is why I don't typically go to Dragon Con because it's a multi-fandom convention. They're trying to cover such a broad swath, and my tastes are so narrow that it's usually not a terrific fit. Now, we have gotten some excellent guests and some excellent interviews through GMX and the media people, Rusty and Nico and all those guys, which are appreciative for. But that is not to say that every single guest that is at GMX is someone that I am intensely a fan of and, excited about. Whereas, at MTech, I've probably at least heard of and are familiar with the work of every guest. And, most of them I'm probably, a big fan of.
But that is by definition for something that's multi-genre. You're
Yes.
going to be into everything.
Yeah. So saying, maybe they did a better job with guests last year, that could be true for you, that could be true for me. That's not necessarily true for everybody.
Well, there
so-
were lines for panels last year, and there wasn't a line for anything this year.
I'm not.
So that-
I can't call that a complaint.
So
True.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Who's Hodor?
Hodor is apparently a mentally ill. He's apparently a retard from Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Okay.
I didn't see. I will be honest. Whereas Charlie has read the books, I've seen about 30 seconds of Game of Thrones, long enough to know that. Oh, hey, this looks kind of cool. I should probably watch this. What? It's on HBO? Well, okay.
I
So-
watched the online video of all the sex scenes. Like, there's a
Awesome.
3-minute video of all the sex scenes back to back.
Huh.
It's definitely HBO material. It is definitely HBO material.
Yeah, like I said, that's the reason I have not watched it.
Well, I should watch it because of
violence, sex. Okay, I'm good.
that. I'm great with all these things.
But
Yeah, we're talking medieval doggy style scenes here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as I've said in the past, that is because I've seen maybe one episode of the show. For whatever reason, I've just not had the time to go and watch it. Is that is very true to the books. They are definitely not like, I don't think, playing it up, for HBO. And in some cases, I would not be surprised if they're toning it down.
Again, somebody on a Forgotten Realms HBO show. If we could do that, that'd be great. Going back to the improv thing, I just kind of did want to pass along the little joke about everything being awesome and fantastic. I thought that the local group was okay. Like, some games were stronger than others, and a lot of it depended on what the crowd was giving them, which honestly wasn't terrific. I think most of my enjoyment came from, making snide remarks to Charlie during the proceedings.
There were some really dark games, but as a whole, it seemed like more upbeat, and they had a couple of musical games compared to Laugh Out Loud or even the Improvaganza that we usually see at cons.
Well, if I were to give them a piece of constructive criticism in this compliment sandwich, it's that every game is not awesome or fantastic.
This is true.
I understand. I do this, I listen to it, and it bothers me because I do it, and I'm like, no, you need to fix these problems. But still, be mindful of the fact that, maybe expand your lexicon a little bit. Awesome and fantastic and epic. Sometimes you just have a game. And be honest with your audience. Maybe they'll make the game better if they know that the premise itself is kind of shitty.
Is this like where you insert the Louis C.K. line about you're calling? How can you use the word awesome? You just use that on a burrito or something like that. How are you going to describe the birth of your first child?
I haven't heard any Louis C.K. at all, so.
Oh, you're missing out. But anyway,
I wouldn't say I'm missing out. It's
So I didn't hang out the game I was playing for the second panel was taking drunk Cicely back up to the room. And
that's
getting
a
her tucked
fun
in.
game.
Yeah, well, my concern wasn't so much for her well-being or anything. It's that she's getting drunk from the hotel bar, and that shit's fucking expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm just watching dollar signs. We can't afford this shit. Go to the 7-Eleven and get some PBR, right? If that's what you want to do, but don't order Long Island iced teas from the bar. So I went around with that, but so we got in fairly early, and I think I played a couple of Hearthstone matches, and then hit the lights out. And because the con is all inside that hotel, my daughters have their cell phones, and they just call and check in where they're going and everything like that. And I think Hannah came up to the room about 11 o'clock. I think maybe 11:30. At some point, I nod off, and then wake up, and it's 1:30 a.m. And as I'm putting back up the laptop and everything, I realized my other daughter, my 13-year-old, is not back in the room.
Nope.
And I had this the actual thoughts were in my head of like, okay, I really probably should do something, but I'm like in night clothes, and granted it's a con, so it's a very like subjective amount of effort I have to put in to be presentable to walk down. But I would have to put something else on, and that's effort. And it's 1:30, and I'm just dead tired.
And you can always make more kids.
But it is my 13-year-old daughter, and I'm a parent. I'm probably responsible in some legal fashion as well. I haven't looked that up, but so I text her. I'm like, just let me text her, like, Rachel, where are you at? And I text, and like 5-10 minutes, what feels like forever goes by, because I'm like, just text back and tell me I'm at this thing and I'm getting ready to come up to the room as soon as it's over, because the panels end at like 2 a.m. and nothing comes back. So finally, now I'm like, all right, what could be going on? Like, is she on the 4th floor? Although I don't see any way that Rachel could pass for 21, but it is a con, right? And I mean, we know GMX, right? Like, they can barely run the con itself. To think that they're actually policing the parties, right? That's giving them a lot in that compliment sandwich. That's a compliment hoagie. So
Wow.
I call her, but at this point, like, I'm thinking like, okay, well, what possible are you doing at 2 a.m.? Because all the panels are 21 and up at this point. So shouldn't be in any of those, any like that. And when I call and she answers, she's like, hey, like, what are you doing? And because I didn't give a curfew, like, they're allowed. We're in the hotel the whole weekend, so there's no like she was out too late or broke any kind of curfew or rules. It's vacation and it's fine, right? So what are you doing? But at this point, I've actually kicked into like a new dad territory mode I didn't know I had. It just kicked in like instinct. I'm not listening to her response. I'm listening to background noise. I'm listening for music thumping, people drinking, anything going on to see if she's going to lie to me now on the phone. Of course, what she said to me on the phone was, well, these guys that came over about an hour ago and they wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition, and you talk about it, so I wanted to play it, so that's what we're playing. And I hear people in the back arguing roles and somebody rolling dice, and I'm like, all right, good. And then so she eventually got back at like 4:30 a.m. because I don't know if you played 2nd edition, but that shit's not quick. Yeah, so we had to kick her out of bed, like, like, hey, it is noon now. You could get up now, and get going. But that's where Friday night ended for us.
Well, now, terrific parenting, by the way.
I'm sure that's actually like a proud moment. Like, yeah, she was playing D&D till 4.
I got like 3 tweets, I think, including you, John, of like, way to go, that's awesome. Like, achievement unlocked for parenting. You're the best dad in the world. That's exactly the right call. The internet has affirmed me. So when child services hears this podcast and come, I will point them at the tweets and they will have to leave.
And I would say maybe a maximum of 5% of that was sincerity.
Like, oh, well, clearly this does qualify you as father of the year. 3 people on the internet said it, so carry on.
I spent more time with your daughter than you have tonight. I'm practically a stranger to her. It's fine. It's perfectly fine.
We were playing an analog gaming, and she came down, and I'm like, well, are Mike and Cicely coming down? And she's like, Cicely's up working on costumes or something, and Dad's playing that computer CCG thing.
Hearthstone again.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't really get that.
Oh, your daughter's cooler than you.
Well, you know what? So she was in the analog room, right? And the guy that runs it, I wish I knew his name. I talked to him quite a bit, and I don't remember his name, and I apologize for that because he did an excellent job. Hannah was down there. I think I came down Saturday night at like 2 a.m. There was like a 1 a.m. panel I went to. And then I was kind of seeing where they were at. Rachel, of course, she's wiped out, so she's back in bed by like 10. Hannah's still up, and she was going to go back into the digital gaming room because she's into fighting games. All right.
Awesome.
So she told the guy who was running the board game, like she was just, I was in here looking to see if my sister had come back down or not, but I'm going back into the digital gaming room because I like fighting games and these games are all too slow. And he went, well, have you played Brawl? And have you guys played Brawl?
I have not.
No.
So this is a card game. It's not collectible. And it's not even deck building. You just buy the decks, and the decks are a character. You play it real time. Okay. So you have you play at the beginning. You have 2 cards up, one from each person. That is your hero card, your character card, and then you basically the basic card you have are these hits. So then you just start slapping down hit cards. The more hits that you do on the character, the more points you have at the end. The goal being to be the person that has that wins the most fights. So each character is a fight. There can be a third one up, but there can't be 4. But then you get these cards that reverse the score or let you just wipe the whole thing off the screen or let you, change the color or play a block or something like that. And you can discard to your discard pile. And you can play back from your discard pile in the order that you played it. But it's played in real time. You don't take turns or pause for anything. It's as fast as you can play it. I mean, you can get down to the point where you know what the cards are in that other person's hand, and you're just holding yours above the deck. As soon as they play it, you're going to fuck them, and they know it too. And there's not shit they can do about it because you can't get in that. So we played several hands of that. That's actually quite good. I went online and I've ordered it for her for Christmas. It's called Brawl. And I ordered it from those guys that do Pathfinder.
Paizo
Paizo?
Publishing?
Paizo, yeah. If you go on their site, the company that publishes Brawl just changed. So the new company is issuing new decks with new artwork. Exact same game, but Paizo is doing the clearance on all the old artwork decks. So you can go in there and pick up each deck for like $2.99. And I think there's like 6 or 7 total to grab if you want to grab them all. We'll have to play it sometime. It's a really interesting take on what a card game can be. And I just love the guy that was running the analog board gaming room to be like, oh, you think these games can't be fast? Well, bam, here's the perfect one for you. And it's like, haha, I got you. You're mine, That's what you need out of the guy running that room, right? You're like, oh, I kind of like this. And like, all right, well, you want to play that.
True.
As a reward to everyone who just survived our analog gaming discussion, before we went to the analog gaming room, we did an interview with Robert Schwalb, who is author of several Dungeons and Dragons and other gaming books. Funniest fucking dude. He is the best. Charlie, you missed out on that one.
I know. I really do regret that I couldn't get there any earlier because after going to his Game Design 101, I was like, damn it, this guy is way too entertaining.
That'll be the first one we end up releasing next week. I encourage everyone to check the hell out of it because he's so good.
I hope I did not overstep my bounds. But I went to his final Q&A on Sunday, which was like 4 people showed up. 4 people showed up.
I was going to, but I was really hungry, so we went for dinner instead.
And he was really like, come on, people gotta have questions, right? But he was good at like keeping it going, even though it's like there's only 4 of us here, and I mean, I got a couple questions too, but like you gotta really stretch for content. But I did tell him on behalf of me and the guys from Chainsaw Buffet.
Oh shit.
We are formally requesting that you make Kill Shit Do Shit.
Please.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then I told him basically this would be the dive kick of RPGs, at which point he hadn't heard of dive kick, so I kind of explained it to him, and he's like, oh, I get that. And I was like, this is what we need. This is the dive kick of RPGs.
I would buy that game in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah. I want to kill shit harder.
Funded. Yes, exactly. I want that game so bad. It's gonna be so good.
So what do you guys want to talk about in regards to Saturday? Because I think the first thing I went to was Celebrity D&D.
That was the first thing I went to as well.
Okay. Well, since we're already talking about Robert Schwalb, he did run the Celebrity D&D panel. And it had...
He did a fantastic job herding cats, that's all I'm going to say.
It is a challenge because a lot of these people have never played, and, it's not like people who've never
they'll-
played D&D and don't want to play, but
Yeah, like there might have been 3 people on like an 8-person panel that had ever played before, and I think at least one of them probably had just done this the year before, and that was their experience with it. But God, some of them, like Lucky Yates and Amber Nash again, were on this
what was
party.
Lucky Yates' character name?
Oh, I don't even
Bill
remember.
Blood Jerk or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
something
was
blood
it.
jerk. He was so in character. He was the most in character.
He-
Unfortunately, it was that
Hey.
character.
Yeah, he was an asshole, which is great. He had sex with a tree. That's what you need to know
That
about
is-
that.
I think
there were lots of mystery buttholes.
there were, and they were there from the start, which is what's kind of creepy. But I really like Robert Schwab does a really good job of reacting to it because he's worked on 3rd edition, 4th edition. He's apparently done a lot of work on the upcoming edition.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And yet he's still not he's clearly not running it. He's not rules lawyering. He's running like the lightest game of D&D you can run and still even call it D&D.
We talked about that game in the Q&A at the end, and his preference is wildly unscripted. If it's up to him, he's DMing, he's only writing the next encounter the week before.
Well, not
That
just
way, there's
unscripted.
the ultimate ability for the players to take the direction. He
But
has a
there-
vague idea, but he which is ironic, right? It's kind of interesting because he's the guy writing all the books that people follow as script.
But not just that, it's very rules light. Like he's not using miniatures. He's
Like a great example is one of the players had like 4 javelins, which ostensibly were for throwing. Okay,
Yes.
but he's like, okay, I have 4 javelins. Can I use them all at once and just run at the guy? And his response was, that seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to do. And you saw him roll the damage die, but the damage die was just, I'm pretty sure it was like a D6, it was whatever 1 javelin would do. But, he just let him, run with that, as a gag, as a thing to do. It wasn't like, no, you can't do that. He said, that's perfectly reasonable. That's
it wasn't
fine.
like, okay, well, you'll get this bonus to this and that
Yeah,
bonus.
yeah,
it's
he
like,
just rolled with what
sure,
was out
whatever.
there. It's like, sure, why not? You did this much damage to this creature. It was terrific.
Oh yeah.
It was a clinic of nuanced DMing.
Yes.
Actually, yeah.
Because I have played in Dungeons and Dragons games with people that have played the game before, and it was no better than that. Like
That is
experience did not help.
That's actually
any of
it
these
almost
people.
hurts because the people there weren't mentally in their minds going, well, these are what skills I have. This is what I can roll. This is what I can do. It was just like, nah, man, I want to do this crazy. Like, this thing popped into my mind. Can I do it?
Including
that
tell
was
me
a
how.
question. That question
His answer
came
was
up.
always roll a d20.
That question came up. That was like the predominant question was, can I whatever? And that just reminds me of a lot of early games of D&D.
So
It was awesome.
my question is, did you come away with ideas for future campaigns yourselves?
Yes, one that buttholes and dragons is what I'm going to run next.
I
Like,
wouldn't-
you see a butthole, you put something inside of it, either yourself, a weapon,
that
There
I don't know.
were lots of mystery anuses.
Mm-hmm.
kind of like what Charlie said about it being like an early game of like I remember what I enjoyed about it, and it's kind of like when I run another game, I kind of want to try stripping it down that much so that
Yeah.
you're getting to the meat of it, and the system, whatever system I use, is transparent.
Well,
Mhm.
not just that, but sort of giving the players that freedom to explore and just kind of do what be the character they want to be without having to try and regulate every single action and whim.
Mm.
I think a lot of that does come out of if you play with a killer DM or even a min-max or something like that, the tendency is like enforce the rules so that they don't get out of line. And you kind of have to like back off of that at some point. And that's what he did. Like he did not care if anyone got out of line.
So what else did everybody do? Because
I think the next thing I had after that was Game Design 101.
Yeah, me too.
okay,
That's where I went as well.
well, I didn't go to that, so tell me a little bit about.
It was good.
It was the source of kill stuff and do stuff.
Yeah, Charlie suggested that we shoot with guns.
Okay, now in my defense, I was completely blindsided with the person when Robert Schwab asked, "Okay, what is our game about?" Pointed to somebody, and it was about guns. I was like, "Well, okay,
Really?
yeah, where you going with this?" And then he looks at me, and goes, "Okay, what are we doing with the guns?" I'm like, and at that point, my brain checked out, and I don't know where it went. I hope it had a good time. It hasn't told me. But my response was, shooting them?
I think I would have maybe just been like trying to restrict my rage from being like, no, we're not going to do a game about fucking guns, because that's never been fucking done before.
Well,
Yeah,
but
that was
see-
my immediate like. You point to this guy and he goes guns, and I'm like, fuck, a game. Okay, a game about guns. That's whatever. Fuck it. Get the fuck out of this
Hold on,
session
though.
right
you
now.
you don't
Leave the
need to be in
goddamn
game
hotel,
design.
You fucking idiot, and we're starting all over. John, what are we making a game about?
Go
The
ahead and
point of
start
that-
waiting in line for Call of Duty Ghosts. I think you can go ahead and get an early copy if you leave right
Go
now.
to the Grand Old Opry where your fucking ass belongs and get the hell out of here.
The point of that exercise, it didn't really matter what he chose. The point of that exercise was walking through how do you start with just the barest inkling of a theme and build mechanics onto it, make the decisions, go down the decision tree so that you can then, jump back
I
and
wrote
say, well, this
all the
doesn't-
things that he did down because I realized after we got into it, he had a guided purpose, and the gun suggestion, it could not be fucked up. Like he basically was walking you through a thought process to follow
Exactly.
on building a good tabletop RPG game and playing out with it. I'm like, all right, I see what you did there, because it was never really in the hands of the audience. You masterful bastard, you.
Well, but it also does show the audience that like you don't have to come up with this fully formed thing. You isolate mechanics, you build them up
Well, and
You
I
know,
really like
piece at a time.
and sort of and one of the sort of points that he started with, and which is always good to hear. I mean, it makes sense once you hear it, but if you've never thought of it, then it just sounds like genius. Which is when you're designing a game, you start off with the question of what kind of play experience do I want to have? Like, you don't start with mechanics, you don't start with any of this other stuff. You start with what am I wanting to get out of it? And then you're engineering it from there.
So, if anybody's curious, any of you guys listening, the brief flow, as I noted it down, I kind of tried to step back and figure out what he was doing there. But the first thing was kind of to start with like your central like premise. This is where the guy said guns, but it's like I want to make a mech game. I want to make a western. I want to make fantasy. I want to whatever. You just all right. That's what you got. And then the next thing he went into is what's the conflict, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so what's going on in this world? What is the conflict? And for us, it happened to be aliens stealing landmarks. So basically, I think he said, who's the bad guy and what are they doing that's bad or something like that. But basically, laying out your conflict, your world conflict, not the individual missions or scenarios. And then from that, he went into character types. Like now, we kind of have the antagonist. Who's fighting these guys? Who are we playing that are fighting the aliens? Which whatever ideas thrown out right there. And then after that, started fleshing out. Now that you kind of have all that set, then you can start going there and start fleshing out a little bit of the background of the world. And, the way he did it, by the time you get down to fleshing out the background of your world, it's almost writing itself now at this point. You almost kind of, don't need guidance further beyond that because you're so far down the path now, you kind of have the direction. So if anybody's interested, that's kind of the notes I took to redo that process.
That's pretty much it. And he's really good at laying that stuff out.
So, I'm going to go ahead and call this one. You guys definitely got the better end of the panel choice at that particular point in time because me and Liz went to putting your geek to work resume writing for geeks. Now, I want to go ahead and read the description because this is important into my.
Who ran that, by the way?
I'm not sure of her name, but I do know that she's a very professional woman who knows a lot about writing resumes and has done so professionally, I believe, and has worked for companies and HR and knows what people are looking for. So that will be the first part of the compliment sandwich. But allow me to read the description. This discussion will focus on translating your geeky pursuits into real-world work experience. Total bullshit. Complete and utter bullshit.
There's a panel on Sunday that I went to that had about the same problem, but I'll get into that later.
And listen, don't sell this as resume writing to turn skills like, podcasting has given me some marketable skills like being able to do, video and audio editing, but that has not led to gainful employment for me. In any of those fields, and there's probably lots of good reasons why. But I sort of came in with that perspective of, oh, well, maybe this resume will sort of help me get some ideas of how I can maybe word that experience in a way that, might make things look a little more attractive. No, bullshit. This was just a basic, you should have had this in college or high school, how to write a resume, but you can't because you're a stupid fucking fuck.
How long did you stay in the panel?
I stayed for about half an hour.
Okay.
Until I just started not feeling very well, and I don't know if it was from the panel itself, or that the room was warm, or that I just hadn't been sleeping properly and needed to go take a nap. It could be any combination of those things. So.
It almost sounds like the idea is good. Like, you have people who have gotten jobs or who've built themselves up in, whatever geeky pursuit, going in and saying, this is not the rule, but this is how we did it. Real life experience stuff. And
but those people built their own. Like, if you're building your own little media stream site or, empire or YouTube channel, you don't need a fucking resume for that, right? You just go build it.
No, but I don't mean necessarily that. Like, people who have applied it to, not necessarily resumes for jobs, but, freelancing, they put it's gone into some sort of professional sphere, but they started out, like, when they wrote it, it came out as just intro to resumes because they tried to not make it a life experience panel and instead make it, here are the 5 rules for...
Because I took John's... I almost went to this panel as well, and I had John's opinion of it. I thought, this would be good. Like, I do podcasting, I do video editing, I do some websites for fan shit and stuff like that. What's some good ways to fluff that up? Because, I think those shows you could show on a resume, I think, some good points if you worded it right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I thought that's what that was going to be, and I'm really glad now I didn't go to it.
Yeah, you should be, because it was a complete and utter waste of time. Like I said, the woman was very qualified to give you tips on writing a resume, but if, it's really an issue of not getting what was being promised. Mm-hmm. And maybe somebody can explain to me how I'm misconstruing that description into thinking that maybe this will be a way that I can take some of these and get a decent job out of it that I don't want to kill myself every day going to.
Well, like I said, I'm not saying you misconstrued it. I'm saying maybe their initial vision just didn't pan out. Or maybe it's someone who...
If you sent the description before you had a solid idea of what you were going to be talking about, because it wasn't like, she
fuck
had
that. That
she
is
had a
every
power
person I've ever spoken on.
she had a PowerPoint.
Did it have any professional logos on it? Like, was it sponsored by
Not that I recall, of
Fruit
course.
company or something?
But if it was, I would have just paid not the slightest bit of fucking attention, because when you say presented by, my brain just starts, playing Muzak in the background.
My question is, was the title of the panel the title of the PowerPoint as well?
I don't remember paying that much attention to it.
The reason why I ask is that I have gone through this over the years now of getting panel submissions where they'll give me a name and a general idea about what they're kind of thinking the panel's going to be about, but no actual description.
Well, here's the thing. You thinking that Cody Warhammer's panel was Cody's panel about Warhammer, that was just a comedy of errors.
That's not the one I was even thinking about at the time. That's just one of them.
Shoutouts to Cody.
I have had several, and that was one of the better ones.
That was so good because you were explaining that. Like, after we had arrived at the convention, it's like, yeah, I don't know what this was about. I'm like, no, Basil. His name is Cody Warhammer. Like, that's his stage name for the Manpower, and he's definitely not doing a panel on Warhammer. It was so good. It wouldn't have been nearly as fun if we didn't know Cody personally.
Oh yeah.
Oh god. Okay, well, for that nugget, and since we talked about resume writing for 5 minutes, I will go ahead and drop the other interview that we were able to do. We did have some others that were planned, but either because of scheduling or because of people's planes leaving earlier than anticipated, we weren't able to do. It wasn't anybody's fault. It was just miscommunication. But we did get an interview with Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief. It is a press-style interview, so you'll hear a couple of questions from us. You'll hear questions from other people that were covering media at JMX. So a lot more questions about Halo and a lot less questions about Steve Downs than I would have liked. But that you guys, if you guys have listened to our interviews at all, you know that for the most part, except for that first question where I just asked them what they're working on, see if they're willing to announce anything, I typically just don't ask about their work specifically. I try and get to know the person.
Did you ask him why the Kinect is bundled with the Xbox One?
No.
That's what I would.
Why the fuck would he know? I mean, I know he's Master Chief. I know he's Master Chief and all that, but he shows up and does the voice and signs the back of the checks when he turns it into the clerk. He doesn't make these awful fucking TRM and Kinect bundling decisions.
Well, see, that would have set my tone for the interview. If he would have laughed at that, like, we're gonna have a good time. If he was like gotten kind of pissed at that and gave like a political answer, I'm like, you know what, I probably not gonna do much of an interview.
Well, it was one of those things where I think somebody asked him something like that, and he was like, "Well, I don't really have any say in that." And I'm like, "Why are you asking this question in the first place?" It's like,
this was a group interview, not
it was a group. It was a group. Yeah, that was the first words out of my mouth, Mike. Thanks for listening. But
you should have turned to him and went, I appreciate all that you do, but that's a stupid fucking question.
I think they deserve
taking my teeth out and rinsing them off there.
It's fine.
I didn't hear that first part.
In the words of Clancy Brown, you're gonna look a whole lot funnier sucking my dick with no teeth. Shout out to Clancy Brown, the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, good pull there. That's good. Quality material.
I appreciate that. Let's see. Did anybody else do anything on Saturday? Because
Train's gone off the rails.
Did anything else happen?
Yeah, because until talking about your Awesome Tabletops game panel, which has a story attached to it that we'll get into.
I got some really good program book creating Saturday night
Oh, what were
For
you
the-
creating a program book for?
for the Hamicon Minicon 2013, November 9th, Saturday. Everyone should be there. It's extra funny because this might go up, on
In
Friday. People might listen to it.
But, if you do happen to be at Anime Blast Chattanooga, you'll see not Basil there. But you might see some other people on this podcast there.
Wait, will you
So-
not see Basil or will you see not Basil?
You might see not Basil. I'm not sure where the false Basil lives.
I'm not sure either, but either way, you should go to Blast Chattanooga, have a great time on Friday and Sunday, and Saturday go, why am I here when I could be in Huntsville?
When
and
I could
drive
be
down
in
to
Alabama.
Because I have 2 panels on Saturday there, and
It's
then
Alabama.
Ooh.
and then
Huntsville.
on Friday I work, and then on Sunday I have a panel to do at Knox Game Design. So
Look, all I'm saying is Huntsville, still better most of Tennessee. Mic drop.
Are you expecting an argument on that?
Huntsville is better than most of Alabama. I mean, come on. What kind of comparison is that?
Oh, wow.
It's the only one I can make.
Neo Space Huntsville 3 is better than all of Alabama.
Neo Space Huntsville 3.
It's coming.
So,
Dylan, how was your panel?
oh man,
first of all, I think we should give a big shout out to, I believe Jonathan Wright is the media person for GMX who runs their Twitter now. He did an excellent job getting the word out about your panel being moved around, and we'll get into those reasons here in a minute. But also in the guidebook, in the actual factual GMX guidebook, as soon as we figured out what was happening and we got everything changed, they put a notification in the guidebook. So as soon as you opened it, it said, Awesome Tabletop Games has been moved to da 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 at this place. So that was really cool because you couldn't open the app without actually seeing the notification for Awesome Tabletop Games.
yeah, and I ended up getting moved to the. So let's go back to what happened. I was
Yes.
scheduled at 8:00. There were a lot of games that were just stuck off, or there were a lot of panels that were stuck off in the other column.
We should go even further because when we first showed up on Friday, the first thing we did after we got our badges, which that was a little bit of an adventure in itself, the first thing we did was we went over to Analog Gaming because that had games there. They were still setting stuff up, but people were in there, and it seemed like
It was the only thing open. At the
Yeah, it
time.
seemed like you could do some stuff there. But one of the people, there's a lady there that introduces herself, and she's, I don't remember if she said she was running the Analog Gaming program or what her official capacity was, but she had some official capacity. And I mentioned something about Dylan running a panel, which in the guide says it's in the Analog Gaming Room because there's a little place that has the room name, say like Clydesdale or Palomino or whatever the room name was.
But on the paper program, it says nothing.
Yeah,
about
it's
where it is.
miscellaneous, but it has nothing about where the actual thing is because a lot of the miscellaneous programs take place like outside in a little plaza area. Some of them take place in other non-panel rooms, but they didn't specify. But in guidebook, it did state it was in the Analog Gaming Room. And anyway, I mentioned this, and she seemed like completely lost. Like there's no panel going on. And so I show her in the guidebook. I'm like, yeah, this is the panel. Here's what's going on. And, I showed her where it said Analog Gaming Room. And then I showed, where it had other rooms listed in that exact same spot. So she didn't know I wasn't, misconstruing what that meant in
And
the
it
guide.
wasn't. I think you said she said it was going to be on the Analog Gaming Room schedule, but it wasn't. And neither were, I think, any of the other panels that were listed there. The actual games were on the schedule though.
Yeah.
Well, now the panel that was scheduled for the Analog Gaming Room, like yours was, following you,
Yeah.
they made them shut down the Analog Gaming Room for an hour,
Yes, they did.
kicked everybody out, had the panel in there, and let them go back in. So that was pretty fucked up.
I'll get to that in a little bit when I kind of walk through it, but actually, Did you have anything you wanted to add, John?
Not yet.
Okay.
We'll get to it here in a minute.
Really, like the problem with the mix-up was the analog gaming room itself didn't really have a quiet space for panels, and there was a lot there. And I think, to their credit, I think analog gaming was a lot more full than they expected it to be.
It was full damn near every time I went in.
Yeah,
I mean, it was always hard to find a table, which is not a bad problem to have for them.
Yeah, the staff didn't know about the panels as we'd already discussed, and then, to be honest, analog gaming panels are not a big draw, and they're not all created equal. Like the Cards Against Humanity panel, I think based on what happened to my panel, they moved it into an actual panel room, and then realized they actually needed the tables. So I think they overcorrected. I mean, a lot of it just seemed to be, just information slipping through the cracks. Like I'd told them that, on panel submission that I needed, this was a slide presentation. I wasn't bringing the games, and I still got stuck there. So, I don't think it was just horribly run. It was just a problem specifically with analog gaming.
Well, there is another problem, and let me go ahead and set this up because
Okay.
I understand that primarily this is volunteer staff, volunteer people underneath them, and they're doing this for free. They're doing this because they want to do something for the convention. And I appreciate their passion, and I understand that, things don't always work easily and that they're not professionals at this or anything like that. But my criticism would be they kind of made a mistake in putting the onus on you as the panelist when they said, oh, well, you should go talk to somebody else and find out what's going on.
Well, to be fair, this was partly my fault because I knew that I was scheduled in analog gaming. I sent an email saying, hey, am I going to have am I going to be able to hook up my laptop and do this because this is what I need. But also when that happened, they were, I went to the customer service desk and they just sent me back to analog gaming. I'm like, they told me to escalate this up the chain, but I don't want to deal with it.
This is classic Dylan right here. This is on me. I emailed them.
No.
I told them in person.
I'm not saying
I wrote it with a Skywriter on the airplane. But I really didn't push.
I didn't do their job for them.
I didn't do their job for them.
I'm not saying that I didn't.
That's exactly what you said.
I'm not saying that this is all my fault. I'm saying that
but it is.
I could have prevented it, and then we'd be having this discussion. We would just be having a different discussion.
The point I was trying to make is they never should have put this on you in the first place because you are the panelist. Somebody from GMX, feel free to have a open discussion and disagreement on this if you'd like to. I'd be happy to hear anything you might have to say. But from the knowledge I know, Dylan is providing a service to GMX by doing a panel, and as Dylan points out, not all panels are created equal, but that's not necessarily Dylan's fault. He's not there to curate interest, engage interest in his panel. When obviously Cards Against Humanity is like the Hitalia of analog gaming.
It kind of is, and
like
the way I look at it is, it is the Hitalia or the Homestuck. It's like
it's going to draw the broadest, most casual cross section of your audience.
But if you want to get into it, it's not developing better gaming fans, as Basil would put it.
Well, my only point will be is that at the end of the day, as a panelist, you're a panelist. You're not staff.
Yes, exactly.
And it sounds like what they were asking you to do was do a staff job when you are not staff.
Yeah, when what they should have done is either delegated someone underneath them to say, hey, can you go talk to this person and find out what's going on with this, or do it themselves at the earliest opportunity. I mean, I know some of these people had walkie-talkies. I know not everyone did. But there could have been some way in the intervening time between Friday afternoon when this was first addressed and Saturday evening when Dylan's panel was, for somebody to take it on themselves to talk to somebody, either make themselves a note and talk to somebody later in the evening or early the next day, sometime when there is some downtime, and say, hey, I have a potential issue, what do we need to do about this?
Yeah,
'Cause the truth here too is Dylan is a really good panelist. I run my conference, and Basil, you'll probably back me up on this, but there are many panelists who will show up, if you're lucky, 15 minutes before they go, and they're just like, all right, so I'm gonna walk in here and go. And as the conference organizer, or as staff, you should be able to say, yeah, that's where you go. Very, very few are going to take the time to even figure out what their room is 5 minutes before their panel. So I think Dylan is doing a really solid to GMX by pointing out, hey, there's an issue here that needs to be addressed and needs to be fixed. Because to be honest, Cards Against Humanity probably would have been a larger train wreck had Dylan not at least alerted him to the issue, because obviously they weren't catching on that, hey, there's no panels happening in Analog Gaming Room.
Well, and in fact, I kind of felt bad about the resolution just because, I think when I'd ask like 10 or 15 minutes before the panel, there was someone in there who said, yeah, there was a LARP panel that was moved outside around the hall.
Was me.
And
someone was me, because because my daughter wanted to go to the LARP panel. She wanted to check that out. And we were trying to find where they were at, and they got bounced around between inside, outside, and then finally somebody just said, well, here, set up in the hallway, at which point they went, okay, we're just going to cancel.
I would bet that's not the only panelist, but the difference was, I had, right before my panel, I went into Analog Gaming, looked around, didn't really see any place to set up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a sweep of the panel rooms just to make sure I haven't missed something. Come back 5 minutes late, I think, stand outside. Technically, I was a no-show. They had put a call out saying that they had a no-show. There were people waiting there. Then Jonathan was like, no, wait, I know these guys.
Yeah, he sent us a direct message on Twitter. And again, I just shouted him out a few minutes ago. I'm shouting out Jonathan again because he did an excellent job with the situation.
But my point is, if we didn't know someone, it would have turned out much differently.
Oh, absolutely. But the fact that
I feel bad for the people who didn't have that.
well, the fact that he went out of his way, he said, you guys have a panel you're supposed to be at. I'm like, as soon as I realized that they didn't know where you were, I'm like, okay, this is what's going on, and he took care of it right then.
And this is my problem when I go to the cons. This is why I don't ever like them, because having run them, to me, it's like, this is not a hard problem to fix, guys. My method is my staff all have assigned stations, and granted, I'm not running a fan con. I'm running a developer convention, still nonprofit, still community driven, but there is a different audience, and things are done a little bit differently. Like, I have to give everybody lunch, and you never get that at a convention. But everybody at staff is like, all right, you're doing tickets. You're helping speakers in the rooms, with projector and issues like that. Everybody has an assigned role. And if you run into anything, my entire role is for you to come to me. So I have no assigned place to be, because my entire assignment is dealing with, oh, wow, there's a conflict. Okay, I'll resolve it. Can you do it here? Can I move this? And telling the staff, when someone comes up to you and you don't know what to do, you're going to contact Mike. Here's phone, here's information. You just contact Mike. And that's all I do. I bounce around the convention, because these things are going to happen no matter what. Something's going to happen. Somebody's going to no-show. Something's going to break in a room. Something's going to come up. And you just need to have somebody planned in advance of, you're the guy handling it. It seems like at GMX there isn't a specific guy. Everybody just kind of gets on their little radios and bounce back and forth, and by committee try to work it out. And I just don't think that can work.
Well, there may be a system in place, but when people in their roles fail to, do their job, and again, maybe this was just a lack of experience, but so there was definitely a failure to
Communicate.
communicate and address a problem that we brought up very, very early in the convention.
Yeah, and I think, and like I said, they were depending on us to escalate, and I didn't. But I think what they can do next year to stop this is one, after the schedule is mostly finalized, but before it's sent out, like you need to go through anything that's scheduled in a non-standard location.
Just send out the schedule to all the panelists and the presenters. I've always done that. It's like, hey, this goes out next week. Take a look, and see if anything looks out of place.
They did. There was some feedback there, but the panelist process and like the tech review process is built around, you're going to have a TV, you're going to have a microphone, you're going to have an audio jack. Do you need anything else? And the problem is those non-standard panel locations don't fit into that. And the other thing is, like I said, analog gaming is a different beast. Some games need people sitting around a table. Some games need a panel room. If they're in the same location, they've got a really nice location in the back to have a very small panel room. And they could make that into a, 30 minutes beforehand, you clear it out, you come in, set up a TV, and you can handle 99% of the panels.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
But you would have basically panels that you couldn't get into because it is a small room. But again, that's a better alternative, I think, to have. Oh, I couldn't get into this panel. I'm just going to show up earlier next year.
I don't know. I don't know if you really want to. You're saying I'm guessing that the panel room that you're proposing was being used by Analog Game to run games when there's no panels. See, I don't like that as a solution.
Well, but the problem was the reason I say that though is it was good for the D&D games. I think they had some D&D games running back there. So you're right. That's probably not a great solution.
No.
But at the same time, like when they realized that Cards Against Humanity needed, people sitting around a table, they literally came into Analog Gaming, cleared everyone who was not playing Cards Against Humanity back to that back room, and it was kind of a mess.
Well, what I'm saying is that clearing anybody who's playing a game is a bad move.
It is.
Even if it's like a big room or a little room, either way, it's a bad idea. And so what they're just going to have to do, in my opinion, and I am in no way an expert of things, especially dealing with analog gaming and stuff, is you need to plan ahead that if you're going to have this kind of crazy panel, you need to figure out where that panel is going to be ahead of time, keeping in mind the special circumstances of that panel.
Yeah. No,
and also going back to what I learned from the guy who was running Analog Gaming, he got that word like 2 weeks before it was going. So perhaps if they had somebody in charge of Analog Gaming months in advance of the conference, then they would be like, okay, you're going to have these analog panels in your room. That's probably why when you came up to the girl who was working there with him, she had no concept there were supposed to be panels back here because, a week ago, she just found out, like, hey, can you staff this from these hours?
Yeah. So anyway, also, John, it's funny you mentioned like Cards Against Humanity being the Hitalia because
well, it is. I mean, what the fuck kind of panel can you have about Cards Against Humanity? Isn't this card really fucking funny? Yes, there's your panel, ladies and gentlemen.
They apparently gave out a GMX specific expansion, but I was thinking about that because I did think the same thing since there were like 3 Cards Against Humanity panels, and like part of me wants to go like come up with a panel that talks about games that you will like if you like Cards Against Humanity to kind of like have
apples
people branch. Well, no, not necessarily.
No, he should have an apples to apples panel.
There we go.
I'm saying like there's Say Anything. There's a game called Larceny that I backed on Kickstarter that's the same concept. Like you could really do, and again, like I said, Basil, coming from the Baking Better fans side of things, go like, no, get you more into gaming as opposed to, you're going to get bored with Cards Against Humanity, and it's no longer going to be a thing, and you're going to move on to something else.
Yeah, it sounds like if you're going to do this with what you really need to have is not a Cards Against Humanity panel, but rather Cards Against Humanity like open demos.
Oh, you mean like
That is true.
the analog gaming room? Like
Oh,
that's what it's
I don't
fucking
wanna-
there for?
I don't want to bag on Cards Against Humanity.
Celebrity Cards Against Humanity.
I'm not bright
Ooh.
bagging against the game. I enjoy the game, but you don't need to have a fucking panel about it. It's the most basic fucking game in history.
I know.
Like, if it was a panel about the history of Cards Against Humanity, it was something that
You'd be
It's
playing
such a-
apples to apples.
more. Well, I don't care
Yes.
about that. What I'm saying is that if you were going to do a panel that is about Cards Against Humanity, that's not like a demo, but is or overriding topics like why is it a fun game? What aspects of humanity are they tapping into? And that we're all terrible people. Something more than just here's the game and here's how you play it. If your panel is here's the game, here's how you play it, wasn't that funny? That's a demo.
I don't know. To be fair, I did not go to that panel. I didn't go to any of the Cards Against Humanity panels. I can't really say.
That's perfectly fair. Yeah, I didn't go to these panels either. Maybe they went into some sort of nuanced discussion, but I don't know what that discussion entails because it is a basic fucking game. And this is why I'm not, the director of content for any convention, because there would be no panels. There would be no panels for anything. Homestuck? Nope. Get that shit out of here. Hitalia? Nope.
There's
You're
three
going in the
tracks.
trash.
There's 3 tracks: Evangelion the OVA, and Evangelion the movies. That's the tracks.
No,
All
no,
panels
it would
fit
be
into one of those 3
no, it'd be
tracks.
Evangelion, fighting games, Code Geass.
What? No, Dell's a part timer.
Yes, yes.
You can't drop the mic again. You already dropped it.
Oh, that was me slamming the mic against the table.
I will say about
Outrage.
Cards Against Humanity. Played that with Mom. If you're gonna play with that game with your mom, be prepared to answer the question when your mom asks, "What is bukkake?"
Yep.
And our answer was, just discard that and draw another.
That's a poor answer.
That's a very poor
That
answer.
is the best
The-
answer when it's your mom.
No, the best answer is, I have a smartphone. Here, look it up. Because
No!
because
I'll
one of
kill
the-
you. Jizz.
You know the Apple TV you got you for Christmas, Mom? Break it out.
Oh.
It's-
Just-
that was essentially what happened when I went to visit Daryl's family, and she had her older sister bring her copy of Cards Against Humanity
Oh my
to
God.
play at a family get together. And I believe it was her mom that ended up with something along those lines.
That sounds right.
Oh, what is this? And somebody said, "Oh, don't worry, I've got a smartphone. Let's look it up." It was
I-
awesome.
How long had they been playing? Because she should have known that was a bad idea. Also,
I don't know.
did
I do
someone
know-
play the Blank Was Forever Ruined for me when my mom had to act it out in charades?
I don't remember. Although I do remember I convinced Daryl to make her mom say coat hanger abortions. That was pretty fun.
Dylan is doing the Orson Welles clap.
I need to find a gif of that now. So
No,
Oh,
we need to
speaking
make a
of
gif
gifs.
of you doing that.
Yeah.
Speaking of gifts, I do have the video footage of Dylan dressed up as Link
Waterland?
saying, "No, this is not what I wanted." Just gotta edit that up. Look for that in the future.
Coming never to Game Marks.
Oh, speaking of Saturday, I did leave something else off. I'm changing subjects here. I did do the swing dancing.
Oh yeah, how was
oh
that?
yes, that is an awesome story.
I went and so I have taken 3 swing dancing lessons 15 years ago. And I mentioned that as we were going down the thing, and then Cicely was kind of interested, and I'm like, yeah, in that 1 hour, right, I feel confident that we won't exceed my knowledge, right? So I'm like, okay, we can do this. And I was fucked immediately because they were like, we're going to do this triple step. I'm like, whoa, fuck, we did not do triple steps. We 2 steps, all right? What the fuck's the triple step? So I actually did not triple step. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do the step I know. So the thing was, so we went down there, and obviously a lot of couples come down there, but there was a handful of guys that came down. There ended up being a handful of guys that had come down with no partner, right? And most of us are here with a partner of like, yeah, we want to take an hour swing dancing class with my wife, or my girlfriend here, or we're two girls together and we want to take that take the class together. Not judging, not assuming anything, but we just don't want any penises involved in this, right? That's fine. That's fine.
Who does?
If that is involved in swing dancing, you're probably doing it wrong. Just saying.
Hey,
that is a different activity.
Mike has children. He knows how to swing dance. That's all I'm saying.
So, all I'm saying is do not trust birth control pills alone. That's all I'm saying. So the organizers, they get us together, they get in this big circle, and they're trying to pair up these extra guys, and they're looking at the two girl couples, right? And they're saying like, hey, if you two don't mind, why don't you two just split up and each take one of these guys? These lone loser nerds at a con, and a lot of these girls are, let's say they would be out of their league. They're batting above their average, maybe, if they were with these girls in any other situation. The couple next to us, she was adamant. She was, no, I'm good. No, we don't want to do that. No, I lead. Okay, I lead. She's not. So I need to be like in lead and all that. And finally, they capitulated because it worked out so that all the guys were on the outside ring, all the girls were on the inside ring. But the part that threw in the wrench and everything was that they said, in every like 30 seconds, 1 minute, you switched partners. So they taught you like one step, you practiced that one step, and then they did a partner switch, right? Now in the interim, okay, the group kind of got together so they could hear them and then space back out. And when they did the spacing back out, the two that were next to us, right, they moved to the opposite side of the room so she wouldn't get paired with that guy again, right? This guy has scars emotionally from this, I'm sure, that are going to last the rest of his life. But as we're going around and we're doing our little swing dancing, we come towards the end. So like I start with Cicely and then next girl, we're going all the way around. Some of it's awkward, but I'm like, it's not my fault that you chose to dress like Lilu from Fifth Element, okay? And we have to do the close dancing segment, right? You chose to come down naked to the con. I'm just doing what the instructors tell us to do. I'm putting my hand, I'm trying to hit the middle of your back, sorry. But, and also, a minute later, you're going to be gone anyway, so get over it. And then the next guy's going to put his hands all over you. Think about your costume choice next year. So, coming around, as they come around, I'm not doing great, okay? So by no stretch of imagination, I had those 3 classes 15 years ago prepared me. I get this horsewoman, like she was 7.5 feet tall, and we're supposed to be twirling her. She's supposed to be going underneath, like, my arm.
The fuck that's happening?
Fucking way that would happen normally. But she has a stance of like 2 feet. So every time she steps to the side, her normal shoulder width is like swinging me around the dance floor. But then she can't keep her left from her right straight. So every time we do the twirl move, she goes to the wrong side every time. So we don't even get to the part where she's supposed to go under me because she just plows right into me. Then the one after that was the female couple. I'm not assuming lesbian, but she was definitely...
But you're assuming.
If it was a lesbian couple, she's definitely the male, the butch role. Ironically, she's the smaller and the skinnier of the two, but she was the one that wants to lead, and I had seen her going around. She obviously knows how to dance quite well. So I was like, great. Now I have the one who can lead better than me, and I have to lead her, and she can dance better than me, and probably hates the fact that I have a penis. And then my last person to come through was the dance instructor herself. So I was like, great. The last 3 that come through where I could have like actually looked good, just no, that didn't happen at all. So I recommend if you do that next year, alcohol. Just loads and loads of alcohol. Cicely told me, I didn't notice any of the girls going around, but she told me going around, several of the guys were quite ripped. You could smell on their breath. I'm like, you know what? That sounds like a good idea. Those guys have played swing dancing before.
I like that you think this is the thing that would drive me to, snap.
Yeah, so there's a scenario in which I imagine
This was how
Dylan
you opened up the story to me.
Oh yeah, it was.
Dylan going to swing dancing. And the setup has to be like Dylan's sister Devin, a wife of somebody he knows, like a Cicely, a Liz, a Jen, somebody who has their heart set on swing dancing and that he knows personally, and for whatever reason, I think my example with you, John, was that Billy West wants to announce his next role on Chainsaw Buffet podcast at the same time.
Right.
And you have to now drop everything and go do that. And your wife, Jen, she's 100% supportive of that because, she believes in the podcast and everything. That's just an ultimate opportunity. But she still wants to swing dance. And Dylan, will you please do it? I think that Dylan, between the I don't want to touch people Dylan and the I don't want to let someone down Dylan, the I don't want to let someone down Dylan would probably reason out there. He'd probably like, I know Jen, it's an hour, don't want to let her down. Okay, she knows my personal space, and we go down there. And then he would have got down there and found out, we're going to switch, and you're going to dance with 100 people down here in the next hour. And this is when Dylan killed everyone at GMX. That was the moment zero.
That was the inciting incident, as it were.
Yeah.
Don't do it, Dylan. Don't do it. It's okay to touch people sometimes.
Whoa.
Or yourself.
Wow.
Hey there. Howdy.
Well, he touched you plenty when he's stabbing you with the miniatures he grabbed from the analog board gaming room because he's still pissed about being kicked out of that.
But no, that doesn't count because he's using miniatures, not using himself.
Whoa. Whoa.
He could repeatedly stab you with himself.
He could.
Howdy.
So I don't remember too much more of Saturday because between Liz's farts and my increasing fatigue and inability to stop myself from saying the word fuck over and over as the night went on, I think I started to go a little crazy.
So, actually, out of curiosity, aside from griping about the incidents of the panel, do you guys have feedback on the panel?
It was good.
It was a very good panel. I actually wrote down some game suggestions. And that reminds me, John, you mentioned a game when I said Ticket to Ride.
Yes.
What was the name of that?
The best game ever, Lords of Waterdeep.
Lords of Waterdeep. I thought that's what it was, but I wasn't 100%.
That is a good game.
It's tremendous because I did play Ticket to Ride first. No, I played Lords of Waterdeep first. I played it at Hamicon, of all places.
Oh, that's right.
So thank you for that, Basil. And then I played Ticket to Ride like a couple of months later over at Nathan Crystal's, and the whole secret objective and worker placement sort of thing. I'm like, oh, this actually is kind of like a different take on Lords of Waterdeep, except Lords of Waterdeep is awesome.
Well,
and
it
Ticket to Ride is good, but.
Well, it does go back to I talk about mechanics at the beginning of that, but like once you play enough that you know the mechanics, then you're like, oh, X is like Y except with Z, and it kind of helps your appreciation for those other games as well.
I also came away from your panel, Dylan, realizing I have to play Dominion at some point.
Yes.
Because if you can describe all other games in terms of Dominion, I probably should play it.
I wouldn't
Your
say
CCG list was these games are all like Dominion except or add.
I don't.
That was the CCG slide.
I don't think it's quite that, but what I was really saying was everything is one step from something else. So like if you start on one end of the continuum with Dominion and you start on the other end with like the Star Trek deck building game, you move like one step in and you will eventually connect them to each other with another game that is just one mechanic off. It's the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Just play Tanto Cuore, because that's the only game you need.
Was that the Moe CCG?
Yeah, yes. The Moe version of Dominion.
But the converse of that is like if you play Dominion, then like you are ready to enter the larger world and of deck building games.
That's fair.
I'm going to be the guy you hate. I'm going to be the guy that knows all of his deck building games from Hearthstone, and you guys are just going to be like, motherfucking Hearthstone asshole.
Hearthstone. No. When I say deck
Didn't
building,
play any CCGs
We're-
until
we're
Hearthstone
already-
Blizzard came out.
We're already like that with you.
Hearthstone is, I'm assuming, not a deck building game. If it's more like Magic, where you build the deck outside of the game, then it is not Dominion.
Yeah.
Dominion is
There's
build the deck.
I
inside.
barely know you. Fuck
There's-
you and your Hearthstone. I mean, really.
two,
God damn.
there's two modes in
Motherfucker.
Hearthstone. There is build the deck before the game, and then there is go into the game and build the deck right before the game from a random set.
Yeah,
For the game or Deering.
you know, here's the thing. You should be thanking me because if Blizzard had done anything other than give 100% of its proceeds to Japan Relief when it did its little donation drive for pets, if it had pulled crap like it did with Make-A-Wish where they pocketed half of that, there would be no more Blizzard.
What Chainsaw Buffet episode is that? That was like almost a half an episode ranting against Blizzard and pet purchases or something.
Yes. Because it's now like a 10-year-old fucking game and you're still paying $15 a month for it.
Hey man,
They're still
down,
pointing and laughing.
They're down to only like 7 million subscribers.
I know,
Oh,
it's
wow, man.
terrible. They're only making 7 million times $15 every fucking month off these cunts. It's not, I mean, if only that free to play model worked for multiple games and they made money off of it. If only there was something that could prove that they weren't just ripping you off because they're assholes, because they're run by Activision, the same company that ran Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Guitar Hero into the ground and is doing so with Call of Duty.
Yep.
Just an aside since we're talking about it. Did
Well,
you guys see?
You would like this?
Did you guys see the cutscene from Call of Duty Ghosts?
No.
They
No.
apparently stole motion capture from one of the previous Call of Duty games, like the end scene where they're
Modern
dragging you
Warfare
off.
2.
Yeah, Modern Warfare 2. At the end of Modern Warfare 2, apparently they're carrying you off into a chopper for extraction or something like that. They took it, like, the motion capture scene for scene in another scene in Ghosts.
Wait. That's not stealing. That is asset reuse.
Yes, and here's the thing. There's a big shitstorm about this. Like, how dare they reuse, this material from Modern Warfare 2? And I'm like, they've been reusing the same fucking shit since Call of Duty, 2 on Xbox 360.
John, remember that when they played Modern Warfare 2, they were like 9, and they're 12 now. And they don't remember that well. About the past,
They don't
alright?
remember
No.
Modern Warfare 3, and they
And
don't
then-
remember Black Ops 1 and 2, and they
And
don't
John-
remember
John-
World at
John.
War.
Those who aren't 12, they were too drunk and blazed when they were playing Modern Warfare 2.
Because they're
They
bros.
remember, and they don't care about it in this new one because
You
they
got
were
the
drunk
new
and
Call of Duty,
blazed
bro?
or 12
I know that
when
so-
they played this one.
I know that some of
It's all
these
good.
people, like, this is the first time they realize that Call of Duty even had a story mode. Like, I understand that.
Well, I think what we've learned though is I'm gonna have to go and delete my code library because using even a line of any code that I've already written is just wrong.
It's derivative anyway.
It's just-
Yeah, I mean, it
I
is.
think we're gonna have to
Activision,
burn down
it's-
Stack Exchange.
It's in Dylan, and
They're,
really
they're
sad that I know you
destroying the
now.
internet.
So, John, you'll
And
love to
you're
know
my-
that Hearthstone's real purpose, to launch Hearthstone. I mean, the icon on my desktop says Hearthstone, but that doesn't launch Hearthstone.
Of course
That
not.
launches the Blizzard client. And the Blizzard client, you click from it and you play Hearthstone, but it also has on there, do you want to play StarCraft? Do you want to play WoW? Do you want to play any other Blizzard game? Just a convenient launcher. But this thing has
wait.
all
So I
the
can play-
hooks of a Steam client in there.
It works so
And-
well for Origin.
I can't wait until we get the Blizzard controller.
No.
That's
So
just
you're saying,
that's just a fucking cash, like off of a fucking vending machine. It's just
Well,
a dollar
no,
slot.
my
gonna
mind's
have-
not blown here, guys. Can I play? Are you saying that by launches launcher, I can play Lost Vikings, or I can play Rock and Roll Racing?
Nope.
Just a touch of a button, right? That's
Nope.
what you're telling me. Then
That's
you're telling me
not-
by launching the Blizzard launcher that I can play the awesome. I can play StarCraft Ghosts.
no,
No.
no.
Like
There's
Diablo
there's
3,
not a thing that you can launch to play StarCraft Ghosts.
You can play Diablo 3. They would like it if you would. Somebody, please.
They would
Um,
like it if you would.
But it looks real easy in this thing to just all of a sudden like, well, we're also Activision, so hey, why don't you buy a digital copy of Call of Duty in this launcher? Because everybody installed it because Hearthstone is free to play, and you had to get it to play Hearthstone, and now everybody runs Warden, and they don't even have to distribute it with WoW anymore.
We're gonna have a MOBA soon. Maybe you can play that.
I'm just waiting for, World or Warfare.
World of
That-
Warfare.
That's what I'm waiting for.
I can't wait.
it's-
I can't wait until the Draenei invade, Europe, and we're having to fight them
Guitar
And
Craft.
with-
That's my game.
with the guitar controller and the skateboard from that fucking Tony Hawk skate game.
Like someone made the fanfic or the video game equivalent of fanfic.
Yes.
So
So
Sunday.
GMX, yeah,
Oh, did we run? Are we still talking about GMS?
Yeah, it's
I blacked
weird.
out.
I wanted to take my headphones off for part of that discussion when Mike brought up the Steam launcher, but I couldn't. I also wanted to hear it, but I also didn't want to hear it. GMX Sunday.
I'm VINULL on the Hearthstone Blizzard client. Just so anybody out there want to challenge me, because none of these fuckers are obviously going to play.
That's a fact. It's a factual statement. Let's see.
I'm
Sunday.
I'm gonna be down on the corner if you guys want to smoke some crack, because none of these guys are.
None of these guys are going to hit the pipe with me.
If you guys know where I can get some drugs.
But you know what's like crack? Fine literature.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was about to say, I don't think I went to
Well-
any of these. I
Oh,
went to
sorry,
the robot
before-
battles.
Well, it's for several Robux. We forgot the greatest panel of our generation, Tauntaun Racing.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, that's right.
But
We
before
did.
that, robot battles. What's up with robot battles? We'll be hearing all about these robots
Um,
and the battling.
I went
Is it
to
just
that.
like Pacific Rim, only with like
No,
robots?
do you remember BattleBots, Basil?
Yes.
Okay, it was like BattleBots except for in a really tiny plastic box
Mhm.
with much smaller robots.
I'll have
Awesome.
some video up of that, because I had a seat right up front and managed to get some good captures on that. So they were limited to 1 and 3 pound robots. They did have some mix of like engineer college students there with some really deadly looking things in there. But this one kid, his dad had taken him, like I guess right before the con or something, down to Radio Shack, right? And bought him one of the little radio trucks.
Yeah, that seems like a great idea.
Let him enter that in the competition, because the goal is not to destroy the other robot; it is to push it outside of the ring. So if you could push the other robot out, then that's a win, right? So it didn't have to have any saw blades on it, but you could tell there was kind of this like hate by the people who have actually wired up circuitry and Arduino boards and bent sheet metal.
And spend, long nights soldering
Yeah.
shit together. No, I can't understand why there would be resentment over some
So-
jack-off buying his kid something from Radio Shack.
They
He's just
put the
driving it
kid-
down.
They put the kid's Radio Shack robot in against this other guy's one that had a saw blade on the front of it that spun at 15,000 RPMs per minute, right? The blade weighed about half a pound, so it still stayed under the pound limit. But it was a huge ass blade with a huge ass spike on it. And the problem became, what constitutes the robot to push out? Is this broken half of a wheel of the robot? Are these 2 wires the robot? There is nothing left. They had to stop for 5 minutes to brush out the arena in there. And the other great moment that happened is the arena was a let's say 6 foot by 6 foot by 3 foot tall plexiglass box
with
right?
wood trimmings,
Wood trimmings and everything. But pretty stout. Like nothing was going to fly out of this thing. The only opening is the opening in the back that was toward the stage away from the audience that you had to push the robot out on. And during one of the battles with the 15,000 RPM robot, the announcer sat on the stage off at 45, 60 degree angle away from it, right? And that robot caught and flew around the cage and everything like that. And something flew out and cut him on the face, right?
on the lip or something like that.
It was bleeding a good amount. It was a pretty good bleed amount. And it's just a wild angle for that to ricochet off of with enough force to get out to actually manage to hit someone like that. He had the great line though too, because he was like, it's my panel. I can't sue anyone. It's my company. There's no one I can sue. I own this, right? Because he does some Robot Battles podcast or something, and that was their thing. But it was overall pretty good, and I should have some okay pics of it. It was definitely a very close up and personal Robot Wars they used to have on. The hell was that?
Oh yeah.
I do have one thing to state because it was kind of a curious decision. After they had ran through all the competitions, and kudos to the host for gutting it out while he was bleeding half to death up on stage, and but afterwards he's like, well, I'm gonna go get checked out, but if you guys want to stay and do some more exhibitions, we still have the room for another 40 minutes or whatever it was, because it was scheduled in a 2-hour block. We only took an hour and 10 minutes or something like that. And my problem was he was leaving these people unsupervised. So people who maybe stayed at a distance, as the group thinned out, would probably just move right up there. And, with supervision, somebody got injured. I don't know what could possibly happen with a bunch of kids with killer robots if, nobody's around to be like, hey, maybe this is a bad idea.
If this guy's not lost anybody so far, because this dude, he's been running robot battles at conventions at least since I was going to Dragon Con in the late 90s.
Go
ahead.
Why have they not, knowing GMX and therefore MTEX connections, had these robots fight off against Kaiju Big Battle?
That's an excellent question.
Because they weren't that big. It would have.
I'm just saying. Fun.
Well, you use some force perspective.
The giant mobile Dalek, the Dalek or whatever, that would work.
That was
impressive.
I'm
just saying, after Pacific Rim, I expect more things out of my robots and kaiju, and what I expect is the kaiju and the robots fight each other.
Are you sure you're not confusing Pacific Rim with Real Steel?
No.
That's kind of what I thought. I really do think that you're thinking Pacific Rim. No, you're thinking of Real Steel.
No.
You're thinking of Rock'em Sock'em Robots, because there are no alien invaders. And really, why the fuck are we talking about Pacific Rim, which is, Pacific Rim, which ripped off, every other kaiju giant robot show in history, including the one that we referenced.
I feel you mean the term homage. Thank you.
Yeah, homage. Sure.
I am sure. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. But,
so how about something completely, utterly serious like Tauntaun Racing?
Yeah, Tauntaun Racing.
I went to a panel before that.
Okay. No, you didn't. What was your panel before Tauntaun Racing, though?
I went to mobile development on iOS and Android, and this, I think this was one of a 2-part panel.
Saga.
The same guy did another panel after that. But it felt really weird to be at a convention, because I figured, it would be more like a Maker Track Robot Battles type of thing where, someone's going to jump into Phone Gap or Xamarin Studio and start tinkering with code and kind of give you a peek behind the curtain. And instead, like, it was a guy here, and then they like did like a Google Hangout with a guy he knows in California who both work as subcontractors, and they started out with this PowerPoint slide deck about, you know, their process of developing an app, you know, that they use in their you know, freelancing business. And it was literally, you know, talking about requirements documents and user stories and statements of work, and, you know, we charge 10 to 50,000 for an app, and I'm kind of like, this, like, even at a developer conference, that would feel weird. And it wasn't bad. Like, they answered like one girl's questions about, you know, what platform you need to build an app, but really, like, most of the questions ended up being about, you know, well, how do you bill junior and senior developers hours differently, and things like that. So it was just like, I like the idea of having a development panel at something like this to get people interested and kind of, you know, not necessarily teach them how to write code, especially with something like mobile development, but to get them interested in learning more. And this was kind of felt corporate, so I don't know. It reminded me a lot of that resume panel that you guys were talking about.
All right. So Tauntaun racing.
All right, so that's about time I got there, was right as Tauntaun racing apparently was starting, because I said I would if I could get off work on Sunday, I would show up. I would put in an appearance. I would support my buddies in the chainsaws and in the MNXs and the Gs and the chains.
And the Ouija wire and the pudding bop.
Yeah.
The gifts and the gifs.
So anyways, and I'm hanging out with Nico and John, and John goes, I think Lauren, who is another GMX person that we know, she's watching Tauntaun Race. We're going to go see that. And I'm like, okay. And I found John on my way there. Then we found everybody else. We headed over there. And I had no clue what this was, only that, you know, someone I knew was there. And we walk in, they immediately go, you got to keep going. You got to sit down. And I'm like, why did I just sit down? Let's go. And what this is, and it's hosted by the guys who do Disaster Piece Theater, another podcast. And it's a race where people run around the main events room in Tom's sleeping bags. And I guess it's to whoever gets the best time. And that was the thing.
Yep. And you had to go around saying different lines from
you did
from the
and
series.
Apparently, you had to finish.
But nobody understood that Luke, I'm your father is not followed by no, you know, the Hayden Christensen, you know, shout. That's not true. That's impossible. Or if you want to go the Robot Chicken route, you can be like, that's not true. That's improbable.
Well, one person did that.
Yeah, one person got it.
One person got it.
Yeah, one person actually said the line. Everybody else said no.
But it was obviously the whole point was to watch people goof off by trying to jump around in a Tom, you know, sleeping bag.
It was entertaining the first couple of times.
And you know, they were playing Star Wars music in the background, and one of the judges, hosts, whatever, was in a Jedi robe. And apparently the finish line was you had to stomp on a Jar Jar plushie or something that of course no one could see. Of course that no one could see because it was, you know, in the middle of the panel floor and there's chairs and people watching. And I was kind of flabbergasted at what I was watching. I was, what is this here for? And I guess my whole idea with going to cons and running to panels and helping running cons and blah, blah, blah is to, as Dylan's pointed out earlier, is to create a better fan. I go to panels to learn something, and I hope that when people go to my panels, they learn something. And I was not learning anything at this panel at all. Only that, man, I'm glad I'm not the guy who's running around in a Tauntaun sleeping bag.
Oh, we
But-
should have done it.
The hosts were having fun, and everyone else around me, well, it looked like they were having fun, and the people running around were having fun,
Just not you.
and just not me. And so I can't really complain about the panel too much because obviously people were enjoying it. And looking at the guidebook, I think this was episode 4, which means they've done it for 4 years, ostensibly. So people have been entertained for this in the past as well. And so I'm sure there'll be a 5th one in the future. I was just like, wow, I guess this is a thing that has to happen.
Well, I think this was. I want to
That
say
has
this
to
is
happen.
sponsored in some way by Think Geek because they're the ones who do the Tauntaun sleeping bags.
Well, I know they are apparently, I think they were shipped to GMX. And this might have been just an excuse to, well, we've got them. What are we going to do with them? Here's an idea. And it has worked out for them. But I don't know. I'm not GMX. But it's certainly a thing. And I guess, there occasionally you do have to have just really goofy, silly panels. Because that's just what people want to do sometimes. And I guess that's okay. I've learned to make peace with this idea. So,
Don't try to provide quality content on a Sunday afternoon at a convention.
Well,
just don't.
I'm gonna
Once you
point
realize you're in the dead zone, you may as well just rework your panel to be about boobs or Tauntaun sleeping bags or whatever.
You're
So-
talking about goofy, silly panels. The Pain Train.
that is designed to make you a stronger person.
It does. No,
Pain.
Title pain. It's there.
No pain, no gain.
Exactly.
Also,
No
the
pain,
the
no
pain
train.
train is not built on the concept that could be executed within 5 minutes, but they decided to stretch into an hour.
But no, Dylan, I thought of that too. No, the Pain Train, when I run Pain Train, it is designed to educate and train you to be a better person. Hence
Don't be
Pain
these
Train.
guys.
Don't be these guys. Wow.
There's some videos that definitely have that.
Don't be us. That's probably the best advice I can give anybody. Don't be us.
Which is fun to consider the next panel we're about to talk about. Woo!
Yes, it's us. Woo!
Don't be us, kids.
Oh, Dylan, was it before? But before we go on to your next panel, was it before? I think it was the Awesome Tabletop Games where they were running like a trivia panel.
Yes. I
Um,
can't remember what that was called.
I don't remember either, but at some point someone made the like we came in for like the last 5 or 10 minutes of it because we were getting ready for your panel, and someone made the mistake of informing me that we could, because I was sitting there gesticulating wildly because somebody didn't know an answer that to me came immediately. And they were like, you can yell the answers out. So, the last 5 minutes was me yelling out answers, some correct, some incorrect, but I thought mildly funny at the time. Like, somebody was talking about, there was a question asked about what was the name of the spin-off of the Vampire Diaries, to which I replied, The Vampire Live Journal. But
Obviously.
Anyway, non-fiction for geeks. That was the other panel, and we all kind of chipped in on that one.
I thought it was a good panel.
Well, thank you.
You're a lying son of a bitch.
That's also a factual statement. I don't know that those statements necessarily have to be contradictory either. So Dylan, explain a little bit for the boys and girls at home the concept behind nonfiction for geeks.
The idea was, well, I think we first did this 2 years ago at GMX, and this is the second time we've done it. The idea was, like, I had started reading over the past few years, and it ended up being like a lot of nonfiction stuff. And so I was like, well, I'm going to do a panel about, just talking about all these books and kind of the breadth of it. And, Charlie and I, at least back then, like when we were both reading more of this sort of thing, talked a lot about it. So it was basically taking that discussion and turning it into a panel.
Pretty much.
So we just talked about a lot of books that you may not have heard of, and you should maybe read if you're into that sort of thing.
And we probably had a crowd. I think we probably averaged about 7 people that we didn't personally know.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
I will
score.
say, yeah, that was actually pretty. I think okay. 2 years ago when we were in a much better time slot, so we had a much larger crowd, but the crowd that was there, I mean, seemed to enjoy it. So, for what it's worth.
I was able to chew through a good bit of 3DS Street Passes, so I was really appreciative. Chance to sit down and and get those Street Passes taken care
After
of.
having
Really...
just driven to GMX.
Hey, Street Passes are why you go to cons nowadays, man. Just get with the times.
What's a street pass, and why should I give a shit?
It's an amazing 3DS function where you pass people and you get to play little mini games with the Street Pass you get for passing people, and it's not quite as good as Peggle. Yeah, Peggle 2 comes to PS4 one day. Yeah, woo! But
Mic
it's pretty
drop.
fun.
I did hold my end of the bargain, and I did tweet that out to you, Basil, and I saw that scroll across. I'm like, oh, there's a Peggle 2 story. I guess I need to tweet that out.
Ooh.
You
But
guys,
no.
you guys are fucking casual games.
Y'all did, yeah, hold on, we'll play some Candy Crush right now. No.
You gotta play some Hearthstone and some Candy Crush and some Puzzles and Dragons,
No. I do have standards, no Candy Crush.
Puzzles and Dragons has ravaged my fighting game community locally. So that's all they fucking talk about. I'm like, come on, guys.
Did you say Puzzles and Dragons?
That's right.
What?
It is one of the most popular games in Japan right now. It is a pay to win game that is much like Candy Crush, designed at the outset. You don't think you're going to play to win or pay to win. It's play to win, but no. You got to pay. You always got to pay.
Yeah, I ain't paying nobody shit for shit, so...
But no, y'all guys ran a good panel.
Aww.
I heard
Thank you.
Several good books that I probably should read. Never will. But I knew that if I read them, I would get something nice and awesome out of it, and I would probably really should, because I would be a better person after reading several of those books.
Oh.
I'll never be that better person because I'm a lazy jerk.
There
That's
is
the
that.
best, worst compliment I've ever gotten.
It is.
Worst
It
best,
was.
I don't know.
It was very heartfelt.
The
I
word...
feel like we have burdened you by giving you this thing that you don't want to.
This Gios, if you will.
Yes.
How do I pull this apart?
Well, all right. What's going to happen is one day I'm going to finally either unearth my existing Kindle or get a Kindle Paperwhite, and I'm going to need to read things on it, and eventually I'm going to buy some of those books on Kindle.
If only Amazon had a Kindle app that worked on other devices that weren't Kindles. Oh, wait.
Oh,
They
I
have
hate
that.
trying to use those stupid things on my phone or tablet. The frickin' bright-ass screen. I'm just trying to read a book. Ugh.
You know what? You can adjust the brightness on a phone or a tablet.
But then it's not bright enough.
Well, you know, that's your fucking problem.
Fucking Goldilocks of font brightness over here.
Am I right?
Hey man,
Holy shit! These are fluorescent lights. Fuck that. I need, incandescent. There's no fucking way I can read in here.
Hey,
Is this-
incandescent have a much warmer feel.
It's true. They do. I mean, I buy them.
Why just buy a fucking book then?
Because that's heavy, and I don't want the lightness.
I mean, good God Almighty.
A lot of those books are kind of thick. I don't know. I think I'd rather just have them on a tab.
I'm about to go on
Kindle.
I'm about to go on a Pat Sajak rant here. I don't know if you guys saw the video that I tweeted out of.
I did. You know what? Actually, my thought was when he was ranting about the movies and shit, and this will date me, but I was like,
I
what are you
remember
talking
that.
about? You're in The Squeeze with Michael Keaton. You have a movie. So that might date me, but
If you guys haven't seen it, Pat Sajak was on Dan Le Batard's radio show some time ago. I don't remember when this was. But Dan Le Batard asked a question to which Pat Sajak gave the most amazing response ever, because I know it had something to do with Van and White, and he just lost his shit. You know, and it was in a very funny way, but it was like, I do everything for that show. I have to know the rules. I have to interview the housewife from
I have to
Wisconsin.
ask her about her cat. And
Yeah,
how
it's like,
she's
oh, you have a
interested.
dog named Sparky? That's really something. And it's like she just touches the letters. They don't even, they
And they
used to
light
turn
up
and
for
they
her.
light up for her. So she used to have to turn them, but no, that was too much work for the princess. She's like,
She has a fucking yarn company.
He's like, I had a talk show. She has a yarn company. Do you know what it's like playing second fiddle to a yarn salesman? She was in a movie. I go to movies. It's the best.
Again, still.
But Pat
still does-
Sajak, excellent role. The Squeeze with Michael Keaton. It's a lost gem. Check it out.
If I ever got anything that good on any of these interviews, I would fucking retire. I would jump off a bridge. I'd be like, done, out on top. See ya, fuckers. So, Mike, did you go to anything? Did you go to the? You did talk a little bit about the Robert Shaw Q&A, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to the Q&A and just kind of recapped, and I asked some more specific, since there wasn't a lot of people there. I went ahead and asked some more. I didn't feel bad like saying, okay, I'm designing video games, so I'm asking this in that context of trying to apply it to video game, and did some more specific conversation with him like that. He's a really great guy. I would definitely, I'm looking forward to checking out your interview. I don't think I went to anything else. Oh, I did go into a making people care about your world panel, and my fault. I didn't really pay attention to the description, so
Was it the gumball
that one's on me.
machines and whatever.
100% on me. But I thought this was going to be something about like writing fiction and then like kind of marketing it out there, or getting people to care about your made up fiction world or something like that. And no, it was just about being a DM and dealing with assholes the entire time. So
It's called being a DM.
yeah, and they were nothing but stories of this one time this guy did. And then, oh my God, this one time it was so funny, and he said that, and I said this, and it's like, I played D&D. I've been there. I get that. It was funny when it happened. But look, if you weren't there, you can't set up and make that story funny ever again. So that was really bad, but I sat too close to the front to walk out. And then
Mistake number 2.
realized that the two women running the panel, one was an older woman, let's say 50, 55 maybe. The other really cute.
I hope you're right at this point.
Really cute and dressed in some anime I should have known costume, whatever. Her chest was pushed out front. So I thought not too bad, but then I realized they were mother and daughter. And nothing kills like being a creepy, leering old man of like knowing like mom's right there. So not only do I have to not catch the target's eyes, but also not her mom's eyes. So just bad panel overall. Probably on me.
Target.
My bad. Probably my fault. Missing my
Target.
expectations.
Playing too much Hearthstone. He considers everything to be a target now.
Use the word a target.
I'm a target, you're a target, he's a target, she's a target. Wouldn't you like to be a target too? Be a target.
I've been known to be a pretty big target in my time.
If you know what I'm saying. Yeah, we wanted to go to the Q&A, but I'll be honest, Sundays, around 4 o'clock, you haven't eaten since like 9 in the morning, and you're kind of like, you know what sounds good? Golden Corral. Too bad the fucking Golden Corral was closed down because of some problem with the lease.
Yeah.
Pay your fucking bills, assholes.
You got me
That
hyped for Golden
sounds like
Corral
a good
too.
Golden Corral. That sounds like a nice, authentic Golden Corral.
I was at first when he said Golden Corral, I was like, I don't know, but then John sold. He hyped it. He had it like he was at a
He
fighting
did.
game tournament.
Here's-
Like, I was ready to Golden fucking Corral.
Here's the thing. Primarily, the reason I was hyping it up was because Charlie's girlfriend is vegetarian, and I just wanted to eat all the meat in front of her. Like, all of the meat. Past the point of being hungry. Like, Roman vomitorium, eat all the meat. and be
I
like,
like how-
doesn't this look delicious? Yum. I'm gonna go poop a Duke and come back and get some more. That's how good this meat is.
I love that we ended the talk of panels with like better
Poopadook.
people, and then like it's been straight down ever since.
Yep.
Can I nominate Poopadook for the show title?
Uh,
DMX review.
No,
Poopadook.
no.
no. So GMX.
It's a convention.
Plus would attend again.
I had an amazing time. I don't know what you're going to
Yeah. 9 out of 10 would attend.
Wow. Actually, I really did enjoy it. It is a really I would go to it over Dragon Con pretty much any day.
Yes.
Well, and we've actually had that. Like,
Amen.
I typically go with is after last year at Dragon Con was like, man, this is getting too huge. It's it's really hard to get around. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning on things like GMX to fill that spot that if I'm not going to Dragon Con next year. And to be honest, that's kind of why like some of these issues we brought up, like I really hope they do improve on them, and they did improve this year, given that we had paper schedules, and I think last year that was our biggest gripe.
Yeah.
I have hope
That's
for that.
and that's the consistent praise I have for the people that do run GMX and MTAC both, is that they, in my experience, they always put forth effort. If there's a problem, they may not be able to, they may not fix it the first time around, but they're going to try.
And I think that's really where a lot of the criticism for us is coming from, is that we enjoy GMX, we love the people that run it, and we want it to succeed. So, yeah.
And I will say, just as GMX in general, is that one of my biggest issues going to Dragon Con myself, and I've had a couple other anime cons, is that I am primarily an anime fan. I'm a primarily anime and manga fan, and mostly Japanese video games fan. And when I went to Dragon Con and a couple other, science fiction-y cons, I felt like I was like persona non grata. Like, you paid you're in here, so whatever, but really don't want you here.
Mm.
And the only two not anime cons I've ever felt welcome, even though I was an anime fan, was MomoCon, which is pretty much an anime con,
Yeah.
and
Mostly.
GMX.
Yeah.
Which, well, look, when you call
Which is
yourself,
basically selling itself to anime fans because
It's anime and gaming con.
they're building off
so-
of it, MTAC.
look, MomoCon, when you use the Japanese word for peach, con, you're not anime con, but you're an anime con. Whereas GMX is, I think it is because they spun out of an anime con. It still has a very welcoming vibe, which I don't get at a lot of not anime cons.
I think it also helps that GMX is like the one time of year where I feel like a big shot because I know everybody at the convention. Like, I can't go from one place to the next without seeing like 4 people I know and saying hey.
It is kind of cool, and I guess because it's smaller and because it's a little more laid back for a lot of the people, I think, that are running it as well. So you actually get to talk to some people, and then the people that run a lot of the conventions that show up there to do promo work for their conventions, so you get to hang out with them too. It's
And on top of that, just the premise and its size, it's kind of the perfect con for us as far as doing stuff.
mm-hmm.
Like, in terms of interviews, panels, that sort of thing. Like, it sort of hits on all the stuff we do here, so... and it's small enough to where they still welcome us, and it's like, oh, you don't have 10,000 listeners? Well, fuck off. So we're
that's
appreciative of
That's
that.
not directed at anyone.
No!
Of course
Not any panels that we've, covered for years and conspicuously didn't, do a lot of coverage for this year.
No.
Now watch MTech next year go, guys, I don't know.
Listen,
I don't know.
the silver lining to that is I at least have the ear of people that work at MTech. I could probably be like, come on, guys, really? You're going to do that to us? and they might do it anyway. But
Yeah.
at least then I know that the person on the other end will actually hear me.
That's only because Nico hates me, and is screwing over all of us.
Yeah,
Because
thanks for that, Charlie.
he knows I would beat him in a
Wait-
fight. Whatever.
Way to fuck with the Shadow Emperor.
I'm making him a stronger person. I am constantly at his heels for a reason.
Yeah,
I'm trying to improve him.
They thought they were doing the... Damn it, I can't make this joke because nobody's following this fucking story. It's gonna make a fucking Jonathan Martin, Richie Incognito, joke, but no.
Make it.
Who the
Make
fuck
it.
are those guys? What are you talking about, John? What?
Make it.
Anyway,
What is that?
that's what the Miami Dolphins thought that they were doing to Jonathan Martin when they sent Richie Incognito to go make him pay for Vegas trips and sending
Is
him
his
races.
last name actually Incognito?
It is. It is.
Are we sure this isn't like Carlos Danger or Enrique Trouble?
It could be because he's a colossal douchebag. If you'd like to, go Google this guy and see some of the shit he's done.
Okay, let's be honest. Nobody with the last name of Incognito is going to be a good person. You are contractually required by God to be an asshole upon the day you were given the name Incognito.
My name is Richard Incognito the Third.
Like really? Your name is Dick Incognito. Really?
Yes.
You're a douchebag, sir, aren't you?
Why, yes.
Thank you for noticing.
There certainly wouldn't be a TMZ video of me shouting the N-word at a pool club or at a bar. That certainly wouldn't happen.
That is a name that tells you everything you need to know about the person.
If anyone listening is actually following the Jonathan Martin story, and there's this whole angle of Incognito being considered, quote, an honorary black guy, and that therefore gave him use to use certain racial slurs in the group. I direct everyone to go check out that episode of the Boondocks where Riley gets one of his teachers in trouble for using the N-word because Riley used it so much that it just seeped into his subconscious and he said it.
Wow.
There's some very excellent, nuanced discussions that come up in that episode in addition to it being really fucking funny. Anyway, all hearts and minds clear about GMX because God bless you if you've been listening for this long.
Did Mike give his final thoughts? Do we have someone to sandwich him?
Come on,
okay.
Spring. Well, I
No. I don't. No, I mean I've already said any negative thing. The good thing about GMX is what I said at the top of the show. It's a smaller local con, and it's run in such a way that I feel fine. Like this being the convention that we mark on the calendar each year, and I take my two older daughters to, and
ignore them
my younger two.
for 3 straight days.
Whatever you do up to 4:30 a.m. at GMX is fine. It's probably fine. It's probably okay.
It's probably
I'm
fine.
going back
You're
to
just-
sleep.
I'm
GMX,
playing.
I'm
What are you doing?
fine.
What
There's
are you doing, girl? Well, I'm playing. I'm playing games with some dudes that I found. Nothing could go wrong.
Mike, I literally saw
But
one
they're
of
D&D dudes. Like they wouldn't know what to do with a real woman if they had the opportunity. So it's fine.
Mike. I literally
Unless
saw
they
in the
rolled a natural
hallway.
20.
I literally saw in the hallway one of your daughters walking by herself with a dude in a lab coat talking to her that I know none of us knew.
Yep.
Nothing
I'm
bad
pretty
could
sure
possibly
that
have
at some
Oh,
happened.
I
point-
thought you were going with the point where she was arguing at her sister. Take my business card.
That was the other thing. Like, Liz and I got off the elevator. We see Rachel and Hannah. Rachel is saying to Hannah, take my business card. And Liz and I give each other this look, and they're already gone. Like, I can't ask any questions. So I go, what the fuck kind of business are they running at GMX while Mike isn't paying attention? It's like, they're either running drugs, or they've, talked the hotel into stocking some sort of product in all the rooms. But either case, they're probably wildly successful.
What's going to happen is one year I'm going to walk down because it's going to be like 2 a.m. on Saturday night trying to figure out where they're at. And they're behind the bar doing the cocktail dance, for tips and selling
Yeah.
alcohol. And you know what? I'm going to be like, they're making a lot of good money. All right, this is fine. I'm going back to bed.
Yeah, you're gonna think it's all perfectly fine.
My word
Are these your children? I've never seen them before, officer.
Yeah.
But I do get a cut.
And you know what? Your kids will be savvy enough not to say anything to sell you out.
Oh yeah, by that point, oh yeah, they're going to be the ones in college everybody learns off of.
That's not a good thing.
That's not a good thing.
I know you think it's a good thing.
But it's not.
So the
Actually, my
instigator-
experience has been always the opposite. Like if she was raised very strict, when she gets to college, the hell look out. And then if it was more of a relaxed household, like by college, yeah, whatever. This isn't really like crazy new, edgy, anything. So that's my justification right there, officer. Your Honor.
So here's the real question: is do you let her play Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto?
I think would not have any interest in that. But I mean, I've not blocked them from a game based on content. Because let's be honest, mature content in those games mean boobs, and they know what those look like, right? I'm not sheltering them from what boobs look like. So yeah, they can play Dragon Age. Although none of them ever gotten far enough in Dragon Age or Skyrim to really unlock any of the boobs. And it's like,
You have to unlock
don't
boobs?
you don't in Skyrim.
you don't? So Dragon Age.
You get married, but it's just about like moving
Getting a
into a nice
mortgage.
house together and growing old.
Doing dishes.
Honestly,
Whose
It
turn is
literally is the perfect Dylan game.
honestly, they love playing that Japanese dance rhythm game that's on PlayStation. Crap with the it's not actually it's just a rhythm game.
Is
It's
it
not,
the Vocaloid game?
Yeah, the Vocaloid game. And to be honest, I mean that's one that's like technically perfectly okay for them. And there's far more worse panty shots and shit in that than anything in Grand Theft Auto. So
Yeah, I mean, but they're little, so oh wait, that makes it worse. Never mind.
yeah, it's all relative. It's like, look, we were in Japan, they could buy panties out of vending machines. So who am I to judge? Like, where are we at on this?
You played Bowie Makery. You can't say anything at this.
Moe
I'm
Makery is a
judging.
damn fine game. It is. Take all the Moe girls out of it. Fine. It's still a fun puzzle game.
The irony is that they yell at me when I swear. If I swear around them, like, Dad, you're not supposed to say that.
I love that.
Yes,
They're the responsible ones. Congratulations, Mike. You
Yeah,
flipped
that's
the
the thing.
script.
I'm doing the same thing to them that my parents did to me. My parents, I basically became Michael Keaton, right? Like, had my Reagan, like we had his Nixon, I had my little Reagan thing, watched Rush Limbaugh, because my parents were two left-wing hippies. And you cannot rebel in that household except by becoming a right-wing Christian. That's
Like
the only way to
super
rebel.
establishment. Congratulations.
That's the only way you can rebel in that. And so that's what I did in my last couple of years, because you have to rebel at some point. And then, of course, you get away from that and like, man, that was fucking stupid. So, yeah, I'd rather have them rebel by becoming Republican, which means I'll get right along with everybody in East Tennessee. They'll fit in really well, have a lot of friends.
Yep. I'm sure they will.
And on that note,
So, all hearts and minds clear?
I hope so.
Okay. Well, shout outs to everybody from GMX. We really do appreciate all of your hard work. I know it
Love
sounds
you
like we
all.
don't. We really do love you.
Well,
guys.
no,
We'll be
Mike
there
does,
next
but the rest
year.
of us do.
Yeah. Guys, stay tuned. We will have those interviews coming up next week, and we'll also have our recap of Anime Blast Chattanooga. I don't know that Mike's going to go to that, so we might have more positive things to say. I don't know. But everybody, we appreciate it. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next week.
Who do we want? Jackie Chan. Who do we need? Jackie Chan. Who do we love? Jackie Chan. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
That was a thing.
and now stay tuned for 30 seconds of static.
By the way, Twitter, especially mobile, needs to not just like throw in random tweets from people I don't care about because I got one of those promoted things promoted by American Express from Glee, which I don't give two shits about. But the tweet said, "Wait, Lima doesn't have a zoo, but it does have a lion. See it again via hashtag Glee replay." And of course, because I just see this on my phone, I'm like, "Is it Jonathan Colton's lion? Are you sure you have permission to use it?"
And Glee don't care.
Of course they don't. But you know what? It's fine. If you're going to put these things in front of me, Twitter, this is what you're going to get.